All right. I keep telling you that this unit is about truth and truths and finding truths and working out what is true and all that sort of stuff. So you're going to see a lot of truth slides. Stay with it. As I've been talking about throughout the lecture, the theoretical framework or the paradigm in which you choose to put your research or the research that you're reading will dictate what you find. It will tell you what truth you're finding. One of the biggest problems I have with bad social science research is the conclusion does not align with the framework. All right? It's the easiest way to find a flaw in the writing, in the research. Okay? But the other thing that the framework will do is it will show you how that truth fits in all the other truths that exist about that research topic. So my research topic for my thesis is university education. I can't tell you how much research there is about university education. Every second person researches it, right? But my framework puts my research in a particular original place. All right? And that's what my framework does. All right? And as I said, it will make your choices in methodology. All right? So how you're going to think about the data, how you're going to engage with it, what analysis type you're going to do. All right? So because I'm constructionist, I'm using narrative theory. Narrative analysis. It's called narrative theory, but narrative analysis because I'm looking at the stories that are being told. Because how do we construct meaning through stories? How do we get to an agreed meaning through the stories that people tell? All right? Now, if I'd gone out and counted words in Hansard, then that's not really constructivist. All right? It's still discourse analysis, and it's a type of discourse analysis, but it's critical discourse analysis. And Fairclough is actually the main theorist in this space. And he literally counted words. He counts words. And there's now software that lets you do that. And then passes judgment about power plays that are going in with language. All right? So there's that. So that's a different way of doing it. But if I'd done it that way, you'd know my research is flawed. Because I haven't looked at how we build meaning together. All right? It also it directs what you're writing. It directs what you look at. It directs at what data you're actually looking at. Because when you collect your data, and you'll find this when you do assessment D, you're going to have quite a large transcript, and you might use, you might have 4 pages and use that much. Because that's the bit that's interesting. Or that was the bit that worked. Or that was just where the themes fell out. So it depends on what you're going to write about. Now, for assessment D, you technically don't have to have a theoretical framework because we're giving you the method and the methodology. But it's always a good idea to think about, well, what type of framework would interviewing sit in? Yeah? Because interviewing isn't about positivism. You can't do interviews in positivism because, people change. It's people's opinions. All right? The other thing is that remember, when you're doing research, you're writing about your truth because it's your choices about the theoretical framework. It's your choices about your research questions. It's your choices about what data you use and what you don't use. So basically, your credibility and the framework you choose are linked because it will guide the truth that you write. All right? The frameworks are all about that box that you're going to play in. And build that credibility. I played in this box, all my research happened in this box, therefore what I've written about is credible. And you need to believe my research. All right? So, this slide is all about how it doesn't matter. You've got to keep you on your toes. All right, what this slide is about is it shows that the language here is falling. This is a different researcher, a different person in the world thinking about how you do research. And you can see how they don't use paradigms at all. Yep, they've thrown the paradigm straight under ontology. So they're not even worrying about truth and not truth. They're just worrying straight about there. Then, epistemologies are actually kind of your theorist space, all right, which is okay, your methodology, and then your methods. So similar but slightly different. And this is the problem with research, right? And the problem with frameworks and the problem with theory and all this sort of stuff is because it's social sciences, we have such a big sandpit to play in that when we're trying to describe the particular box we're playing in that sandpit, go with the analogy, it works, you know, you have problems. Because we all use different language. All researchers use different language to mean different things. Okay, I don't like the word paradigm. I only use it because the textbook likes to talk about it. I tend to talk about theorists. And for me, the theorist just sits under an epistemology because it's the way I'm thinking about the problem. But that's not necessarily what other people think. So long as you can justify in the social sciences what you've done, why you've done it, how you did it, and where it fits in the grand scheme of things, you're gold. And that's all we have to do in the social sciences, which is 50 times harder than the natural sciences, I think. But I'm always going to say that. Because in the natural sciences, it's easy. They think of a problem, they think of the experiment, they do it, they come to a conclusion. All the time. Whereas us, we've got 50 million things to choose from. I like this quote. I just like to throw the quotes in. Because I feel like that's kind of every social scientist ever. Because we all come up with these questions, and if you talk to a social scientist, yes, I knew what my question was, and you know, I took this journey and rah, rah. No. They'll come up with a question and then a few years later they'll have a research paper and they'll say, I'm not sure how I got here, but it's pretty good now. Because the journey itself is just insane. And so if we knew what we were doing, it wouldn't be called research. Because we literally sometimes just don't know what we're doing. And do I have time? Oh, just quickly, a research paper which I'm hoping to get to a journal this week. The person I collaborate with, we had a question, we did all the research, got all the ethics, did all the research, the data collection, blah, 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 did all the analysis, came together, looked at it on a big wall, all cut up, for 3 hours. And then went, it doesn't answer our question. So then we walked away for a while and then we came back and rewrote the question. So we had doing a completely different research project than what we started doing because the data didn't do what we thought it was going to do. And that's the whole point, right? If we knew what we were doing, it's not research. It's social scientists, our journey changes all the time. And that's kind of why a framework is important. Because if you don't have something to hold on to, when all that change happens, it gets really messy very fast. All right?